What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. On this one we're looking at an electric skateboard for under $500, and here it is. This is the Veymax X3 electric skateboard. So we're going to talk about some of the specs and how good is a board under the $500 mark. So first of all, what we're going to do is talk about the deck. So the deck is a 2-ply bamboo, Canadian maple and fiberglass deck. Now the deck shape itself, it has a nice small concave on the wings of the deck, which gives that kind of like nice grip feeling underneath the foot. It's quite a stiff deck with a little bit of a flex into it. For the size proportion ratio, I think it's quite a good deck size. It's not too bouncy, but it gives us stability at high speeds as well. So with that deck, it's offering you an increased flexibility with a nice quick rebound underneath the foot, so give that kind of shock absorbance when you're riding your board. The next thing we're going to talk about is the battery and the ESC and the enclosure. Now the battery is a 10S 2P 18650 cell configuration with over 336 watt hours in capacity. Now this isn't the hugest battery, but this is kind of what we're looking for in the kind of entry level scene of your board. Now with that battery, it's saying you're going to get estimated range around 18 miles range. Now for me as a heavier rider and pushing the board heavily underneath my feet, I was getting more about 12 miles underneath my feet. So that's the kind of range I was getting in my review of the board. Now the estimated top speed of the board is saying about 29 miles an hour. Now I pushed this thing as far down the trigger as I could, and I was getting more about 22 miles an hour, and that was on a completely flat ground. So now with that speed, what are we doing to power that? We're looking at the motors. Now the motors on this board are hub motors, and then they're two 500 watt motors on this board. Now when I was testing this board, there's a couple of things I wanted to know. The benefits of a hub motor over a belt drive or a gear drive. Now when I was actually going out to do my test ride of the board, I actually bumped into my friends, and they actually didn't even realize this was an electric skateboard. Now if you're looking at like a hub motor design, that kind of gives you that stealthiness of the board. Very silent, very smooth and very controlled. However, it doesn't give you that snap response off the line when you're riding your board up inclines and then giving that really hard aggressive start and really strong braking. In fact, when I went to take up some hills, it was actually unfortunately stalling. Now these are really tight hill, so like I say, I will try and push the board best I can. Really steep incline, it was actually struggling getting up the hill, so it was a bit disappointed with the hub motor trying to climb those hills. And then opposite on the way down, it wasn't braking firm enough for me to really hold me to give that controlled descent down the hills. I actually had to step off the board, unfortunately, to have that braking down the hill. So the acceleration and braking, unfortunately, didn't give me that punch I was looking for the board. However, the benefit of that, like I say, it's a very sleek, stealthy design with the hub motor. So it's very quiet, very smooth. So if you're looking kind of like the discretion of a carvy board, this is probably more the scene that you're looking for on your board. In fact, when I was riding this board, I had probably the most fun I've had in a while, just cruising on a nice flat playing field on the beach, cruising along, enjoying the wind and having a really nice ride. So kind of the benefits is stealth, but you do lose that out on the kind of aggressive braking and accelerating. So the wheels are 105 millimeters in diameter and 65 millimeters in width. And when I first saw these wheels, I was actually a little bit concerned because I feel like they're not going to be very grippy, they may break or whatever. But I was riding these on road, on off-road, and they performed really well, and it actually gave me a really nice smooth ride, which I was really impressed about. So actually the wheels actually kind of prejudged them away, but actually when I started riding them off-road on rougher terrain, actually performed really nice. Now with the charging time on the board, you're looking at about 2.5 hours time frame. Now for me, I think that's the Goldilocks time of charging. We look at about 2 to 3 hours. That's the perfect amount of charging time for the board. So that kind of ratios up really nicely. The weight of the board is 9.5 kilos. So it's not too heavy. So it's quite a quite convenient kind of weight to the board. But the remote was actually quite intuitive actually. It was really nice in the hand, but one thing I worry about me with some of the thumb wheel designs of the remotes is that you might accidentally clash and press other buttons. Now with the alignment of the buttons, I actually didn't have any of those issues at all. So the remote was responsive, and with the hub motors, it was really smooth and controlled. So on that, like I said, on the flat ground, it worked really, really nicely. The next thing I want to speak about is the trucks. Now the trucks aren't too wide, they're kind of quite narrow on the board, but actually for like a carvy kind of cruising board, it gives you the opportunity to whip it really, really well. So actually I was kind of concerned with the width of the board when I first saw it, but once again, it impressed me. On that kind of flat ground, looking for a carvy cruiser board, really. So in conclusion of the board, I feel there are some elements that need to be improved in relation to like the aggressiveness of the acceleration, so you can climb those tighter hills, and stronger braking. But if you're looking for like kind of like maybe like an introductory or a younger person's board, this is probably a more better demographic that you're looking for, really. So you're kind of looking at for that cruiser ride. Anything beyond that, you're going to need a bit more power. So there's actually a pro version of this board, so maybe that would be more intuitive, looking for more kind of like an aggressive style. But that's the review of the Veymax X3 electric skateboard. So if you found this intuitive, please drop a like, comment. Is there any other kind of boards in this demographic that you would think that we should look at? So put them in the comments below. Also, thank you so much for watching. Content comes out on a regular basis, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.